In today's video, I'm going to be sharing about one of my favorite DIY projects that I've ever made for our home, and that is a DIY built-in bench with hidden storage. This bench acted as seating for the left side of my dining table in my kitchen, but it also hid all of those items that I didn't have storage for, like my blender, my Instant Pot, extra mason jars for canning, egg cartons, anything you can think of can fit inside a storage bench. I like this project because it can be used in multiple areas of your home. I used mine in my dining room, but you could also use this as an entryway bench to store shoes, or maybe you need extra hidden storage in a kid's room. You can really put this bench anywhere. I'm starting out by making the cuts for the width of this bench. I did my bench 16 inches wide by 8 feet long, but you could do it for as short or as long as you want the length of your bench. So I did not want to cut into my base trim. What I ended up doing is just adding a scrap piece of wood behind this because that's how my windows are over there. And for me to have this even on the wall to drill it in and keep it in place, that's what I needed to do. So I just screwed my bench base into the wall, and then I also put one screw in the end right here and one over there, and this thing is solid. It's not going anywhere. I have just cut my inside chunks that are going to be the height of the bench, and then I have the 2x4 bar on top and on bottom. What I'm going to be using is my Craig jig, and if you guys have never used one of these before, they're awesome. I'm setting the height to 1.5 inches because that is the width of my 2x6. I'm actually using 2x6 and 2x4s here. There's no reason for this other than the fact that that is the scrap wood that I had in the shop. If you want to use either one of them, go for it. I don't think it's going to make a difference. So I have my height set at 1.5, and I'm going to put my 2x6 lumber in here and 2x4s and start screwing in my pocket holes. Here I am installing the base of my bench, and I'm using my 18 gauge brad nailer to nail it into place. This is flipped upside down. I realized after it was already installed that I needed to drill these into the top first because my drill wouldn't fit when I was trying to screw up into the top part. So I took it apart, put those pieces on, and now I'll be flipping it back over. I ended up putting 2 pieces of 2x4 in the middle of my bench. Since this was 8 feet long, I just wanted that extra strength in the middle to help support. Here is what the finished product of the framing looks like. What I'm going to do is head to my shop and cut some MDF panels. I have 1/4 inch, and I'm going to use that to wrap around the frame of the bench. I will also install some leftover window trim that I have, and I'll be using that as trim pieces just to add a more decorative touch. You could use whatever you want, create your own paneling, or you could just keep it plain. It's totally up to you. Here is how I'm going to do the sides. I put the MDF paneling on the front, I'm gonna wrap it on the side the same. But the way that I built this, I did not cut into my trim, so the bench is not sitting flush with my wall. I want it to look like it's sitting flush with my wall. So what I'm gonna do is cut my MDF panel, and I'm gonna measure it all the way up to where my wall is, so it will cover all of this, and then where my trim is, I'm gonna have to cut a notch out so it can fit right there. So I drew a little measurement. This is where my wall is, this is where my little trim piece is gonna be, and this is where I'll cut the notch out. If you have a jigsaw, you can use a jigsaw or a scroll saw, whatever you have to cut the notch out. So what I have done for the top and bottom is installed trim. And so for this one, basically I cut it at a 45, so it's gonna meet just like that. And it goes all the way up to my wall. And that is how I'm doing the trim pieces. But yeah, you can see how the bench has a gap in there, but it looks from the side like a built-in. This spackling to cover my nail holes in the corner seam, but you can use any wood filler or anything else that you have on hand that might work for this. All right, so what I have done for the cushion is I laid down my fabric upside down. I have a batting fabric as well. Then I have my cushion, and then I have my wood. So a really easy way to cut the cushion is take a serrated knife. This is a bread knife, and you can just slice right down. You can do it with scissors if you want. To me, this is just really easy. It doesn't create that much mess, and that's how you cut your foam. Here is how I upholster a bench. I start out and I staple in the middle here, pull it tight, staple here, pull it tight, same here and here. Then I go around and staple the rest. Each time I pull and then I staple, that way it's nice and taut, and I leave the corners open, and I will show you how I do the corners. So what I have done is I've pinched both of the corners and I just cut down. And then what I'm going to do is pull this tight and staple it. I actually might do it this way. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna pull this one as tight as I can and then staple it in. And once that's stapled, I will then wrap this one around. I've folded one side in and I've stapled it as tight as I could. And now I'm gonna work this where I fold it in and make a little envelope crease like that. And then I will staple it up here. And this is how my corner turned out, just a cute creased little corner. This paint is a primer and paint in one. This paint color is Russian Olive by Behr. I love this color. If you don't have a primer with your paint, you're definitely going to want to prime the MDF before, otherwise it's going to suck up your paint. You'll also see me mixing a clear coat into the paint. I saw a cabinet guy do this a long time ago, and I really, really liked it. It definitely makes it a lot more durable. I would do a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 being your paint, 1 being your polyurethane or whatever clear coat you're using. I installed the cushion with just some door hinges. I did 2 on each cushion. Here I am just kind of styling the room to show you the finished product. But this bench seriously serves such a purpose. It was super cost effective and a lot of fun to make. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for many more DIY projects to come from the Alaskan Cottage.